Hello dear students, I welcome you for this first lecture of the subject cell biology. In today's lecture, we are going to start with chapter number 1, that is Introduction to Cell Biology, and today's topic is about Introduction to Cell Biology and its history. So I am Professor Amol Handore, working as Assistant Professor at Department of Zoology, KTHM College, Nasik. So let's take a brief recap of previous lecture. In the last lecture, we have introduced with the syllabus of cell biology, that is paper number 2 of zoology. In today's lecture, the study objectives will be introduction to what is cell biology, history of the cell biology, and we'll understand the basic shapes and sizes of the cells. So let's begin. In this first picture, you can see the cell, a eukaryotic cell with all its organelles. So this cell is like a basic building block of the organism, and it has many organelles which work like organs in the human beings. Like in our body, we have organs which function for the sustenance of our body. Similarly, in the cell, they have smaller structures which are called as organelles. So the cell has endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi body, lysosome, ribosomes. The central part is presence of the nucleus, centrioles, and many other organelles which are performing different functions in the cell. So what is a cell? There are different definitions which can be given for the cell. So we can see simply cell is the smallest unit of life. Okay, so this is the basic smallest unit of life. Another definition is cell is smallest structural and functional unit of all the living organisms. So all living organisms are made up of cells, and it is the smallest unit of life. Then we can define cell is the smallest unit capable of independent existence. That means cell can survive on its own if it gets the required food and other requirements. Then we can also define cell as the smallest mass of living matter containing nuclear material. We can also define cell as a piece of nucleated cytoplasm surrounded by cell wall or plasma membrane. That means it is a unit having nucleus. Sometimes nucleus is absent also. It contains the liquid matter that is called as cytoplasm, and the outer boundary of the cell is made up of plasma membrane, which may be covered by cell wall in some cell. In some cells, cell wall is also absent. Also, we can call cell as the fundamental unit for reproduction and function of the body. Okay, so since these cells they work together, the body can function in proper way. The most accepted definition of the cell was proposed by Lowy and Sekowitz in 1963. So according to this definition, cell is the unit of biological activity delimited by semi-permeable membrane and capable of self-reproduction in medium free from other living systems. So if we try to understand this definition, it tells us that cell is the basic unit of life, then its outer boundary is covered by a semi-permeable membrane. What is meant by semi-permeable membrane? It is that membrane which allows selective entry and exit of the molecules inside or outside of the cell. Also, the cell is capable of self-reproduction. So how does cell reproduce? By cell division. So all these are the basic characteristics which are covered in this definition of the cell. Now we have understood that cell is the structural and functional unit of the all living organism. It can also be called as a building block of the life because all living organisms are made up of cells. There are many different types of cells, and if we see in the human body is composed of trillions of cells. Okay, so the entire body is having so many cells, and different type of cell are specialized for different function. For example, we have skin cells, we have the different organ cells like liver cell, heart cells, pancreatic cells, and all these cells perform different functions in the body. So how this word cell come into existence? This term cell was first coined by the scientist Robert Hooke in the year 1965. Okay, the cell, we can say it is made up of majority of the portion of the cell is nothing but water. So 2/3 of the cell is nothing but water, and remaining part of the cell is made up of different biomolecules. So these biomolecules are basically proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates. Okay, so what is cell made up of? Water, protein, lipids, and carbohydrates. Now cells convert the raw material in the food into different molecules which the body requires, and there are different metabolic reactions which are taking place inside the cell. So these metabolic reactions can be of two types, that is catabolic reactions and anabolic reactions. What is meant by catabolic reactions? That means breakdown reactions, and anabolic reaction means synthetic reactions. So there is synthesis of some molecule, like protein synthesis is going on in the cell, lipid synthesis is going on in the endoplasmic reticulum. All these synthesis processes are going on. At the same time, there is breakdown of certain molecules. So all these catabolic reaction plus anabolic reaction is nothing but the metabolism or metabolic reactions in the cell. So after this brief introduction, let's move to the history of cell biology. So as I already told you, the cell was discovered by Robert Hooke in the year 1665. He was the first to observe the cell. So in 1665, Robert Hooke examined a thin slice of the cork. So what is this cork? In bottles, you have this cork on the top. So he has taken a thin section of this cork and he has examined under the microscope which he has developed. And when he observed under this microscope, he could observe that there are many small boxes, like compartment like boxes, which could be seen. And he called these box-like structures as cells because they look like small rooms. So in those days, where the prisoners are kept, those small rooms are called as cells. So he named these small structures as cells. And with this discovery of cell, there occurred beginning of the new branch of the biology called as cell biology, or earlier it was called as cytology. So these were the structure which was seen by the Robert Hooke under the microscope, and he tried to draw this structure onto the paper. After the discovery of the cell, the second remarkable work was done by Anton von Leeuwenhoek. So in 1673, Leeuwenhoek, who was a Dutch microscope maker, he was the first to observe the living cell. Robert Hooke observed the cells, but those were the dead cells. Leeuwenhoek was the first scientist who could observe the living cells. So he took some pond water and he tried to observe under the microscope which was developed by him. And in this water drop, he could see certain small organisms in that water. And to these organisms, he called these organisms as animalcules. So Leeuwenhoek used a simple handheld microscope for observing many living organisms. He also tried to observe organisms from pond water as well as the from scraping of its teeth he could see microorganisms. So the second most significant work in the cell biology was done by the Leeuwenhoek. Third important milestone in the cell biology was done by these two great scientists, that is Schleiden and Schwann. So what actually work done by Schleiden? According to him, in 1838, this German botanist Matthias Schleiden concluded that all plants are made up of cell. Before that, we were not aware that all living organisms are made up of cells. So this was the major point that was told by the Schleiden, that all plants are made up of cells. In next year 1939, a German zoologist Theodor Schwann, he also concluded that all animals are made up of cells. So these were like the plant cells observed, and these are the example of animal cells. Now in 1855, a German medical doctor Rudolf Virchow used a microscope to observe cells dividing. So he was the first one who could observe cell division. So he told that all the cells must have come from the pre-existing cells by the process of cell division. So remember that Rudolf Virchow was the first scientist who observed the cell division process, and he told that all living cells come from the pre-existing cells by the process of cell division. Now together, the work of these three scientists is called as the cell theory. So cell theory basically describes the basic properties of the cells. So the contribution of the cell theory goes to these three scientists, that is Schleiden, Schwann and Virchow. According to this cell theory, it states that there are three postulates. First postulate is all living organisms are composed of cells. Cells are the basic unit of structure and function of the living organisms, and new cells are produced from the existing cells. So new cells always come from the previous present cells by the process of cell division. So these were the postulates of the cell theory. So if we look at the history of cell biology, the first important discovery was done by Robert Hooke. He observed the cells in the cork. In 1674, Leeuwenhoek was the one who discovered protozoa. He also found bacteria. In 1833, Robert Brown described the cell nucleus in the cell of orchid. In 1838, Schleiden and Schwann proposed the cell theory. In 1840, Rollecker realized that sperm cell and egg cells are also the type of cells. In 1856, Pringsheim observed how sperm cell penetrates the egg cell. In 1858, Robert Virchow, he gave the theory that cells develop only from the existing cells. In 1857, Kolliker described mitochondria present inside the cell, which produces the ATP molecules. In 1879, Fleming described chromosome behavior during the process of mitosis, that is cell division. In 1883, germ cells are haploid was proposed through the chromosome theory of heredity. And in 1898, Camillo Golgi described Golgi apparatus. So these were the significant discoveries in the field of cell biology. Now let's see the scope of cell biology. So just if we see the atom, in any atom is the fundamental unit in the chemistry, right? Beyond atom there is no smaller molecule. Similarly, in the biology, the structural and functional unit of the living organisms is nothing but the cell. So cell is the smallest unit of living organism, just like atom in the chemistry. Now this detailed study of cell with the help of electron microscopy and other advanced technique is called as cytology. Cytology is the old terminology. In nowadays we call cytology as cell biology. So in cell biology, along with the study of just cell, we study various aspects such as morphology, biochemistry, physiology, genetics, development and molecular structures. So by doing this detailed study of the cell, it helps in understand various complicated activities which takes place inside the cell, like metabolism, growth, differentiation, heredity means transmission of character from parent to the offspring, and evolution process at the cellular as well as molecular level. Now these cells, they are specialized for different functions inside the body. So we have unicellular organism as well as we have multicellular organism. Unicellular means one cell, multicellular organism will have many cells. So in multicellular organism, cell in the body have been designed for the different jobs. So cell develop from the unspecialized type of cell called as stem cells. So stem cells are those cells which can develop any type of cells in the body. So this stem cell can transform into more specialized type of cells when they are exposed to some chemical signals. So suppose this is a stem cell. Same stem cell can give rise to the skin cell. It can give rise to the RBCs, WBCs, neurons. Okay, so from the same stem cell, many different type of cells can be produced. Now these cells, they have specialized functions. For example, in plants, we have these stomatal cells, guard cells, the xylem cells which conduct the water, then phloem cells which conduct the food, then pollen grains, these are also type of the cells. In animals, we can have nerve cells or neurons, skin cells, egg cell. In bacteria, they are unicellular, so the bacterial cell, plant cells are the different types of cells. So if we see the cell diversity, not all cells are alike. That means there are different types of cells. There is variety of different type of cells. Even cells in the same organism may show different diversity in the size, shape and the organization. For example, our body consists of at least 200 different type of cell types. Now these cells may be of different types on the basis of their function. For example, brain cell, they are doing the activity of carrying signals from brain to the other body parts. We have the blood cells like RBC, WBC, which are responsible for carrying the nutrients and oxygen to different parts of the body. The diversity is found in the cells is greatly influenced by their environment also. So this variety and diversity of cell is because there are many functions in the body of the organisms. So in this picture, you can see different type of cells, like you have the macrophages, leukocytes, WBCs, they are also called as WBCs, plasma cells, mast cells, fat cells, then the color producing chromatophores, neurons. Okay, so there are different types of cells which are specialized for different function in the body. So there is cell diversity in the origin, cell diversity in size, cell diversity in the shape as well. So let's see some basic different type of cell. So you can have RBCs, bone cells which are also called as osteoblast cells which are present in the bone. Then epithelial cells, they line the different body parts or organs. Muscle cells, nerve cells or the neurons which conduct the signals. Okay, now we come to the last part of today's topic, that is shape and size of the cell. So if we see the eukaryotic cell, what is meant by eukaryotic cells? Those cells which have the nucleus. In eukaryotic cell, there are various types or various shapes of the cell. So eukaryote also, they are further divided into plant cell and animal cell. So we will study that in the next coming lectures. Animal cells, if we see their shape, they can be spherical or oval. Sometimes they can be cuboidal in shape, polygonal in shape, tubular, triangular, irregular or cylindrical in shape. So there are various shapes in the cell. Depending on the function of the cell, the shape of the cell also shows the variation. Even within the same organ, you may have variation in the shape of the cells. So what are the different shapes of the cells? In case of animal, following shapes are exhibited. So two main types, that is constantly changing shape. For example, protozoans like amoeba and leukocytes, that is WBCs, they show variable shape. Then there are fixed shape. Second category is fixed shape. Majority of the cell in the body, they have the fixed shape. That means the shape does not remain, the shape does not changes and it remains constant throughout the lifespan of the cell. So what are the basic shapes? First shape is cube shaped, called as cuboidal. So the cells which are present in the squamous epithelium, endothelial lining, upper layer of the epidermis and cells of the thyroid gland are cuboidal in shape. Second type of the fixed shape is columnar, that means column-like. So the cells lining the intestine are columnar in shape. Next shape is discoidal, that means disc shaped. The erythrocytes, which are also called as red blood corpuscles, are disc shaped. Spherical, the eggs of many animals are rounded or spherical in shape. Spindle shaped, the smooth muscle cells are spindle shaped. Elongated, nerve cells, they are elongated in shape. Branch, the pigment or the chromatophore cells are branch, which are present in the skin cells. Now if we see the size, the cells show various sizes. So the basic are the atoms. Atoms combine together to form molecules. Molecules give rise to different molecules, biomolecule like protein, lipid, carbohydrates. Then you have the largest, they assemble to give rise to the different type of cells. So the smallest are the egg cell, like 1 to 5 millimeter in size, and the largest cell can be found in the giraffe neurons. Okay, so the most cells, they are invisible to the naked eye. That means for watching the cell's size and shape, you require a microscope. Size of the cell vary from 0.2 to 0.5 micron. The smallest cell, like bacteria, are the smallest. So they show the size from 0.2 to 0.5 micrometer. Then we have largest cell. There are some cells which are larger in size. For example, the nerve cells of the giraffe or the neurons in the giraffe which are as long as 2 meter. Now what decides the size of the cell? Basically three factors decide the size of the cell. First is nucleocytoplasmic ratio. What is nucleocytoplasmic ratio? This is the ratio between volume of nucleus and the volume of cytoplasm. Second factor responsible for the size of the cell is ratio of cell surface to the cell volume. And third factor is the rate of metabolism. Whether the metabolic rate is high or low in organism, that will also decide the size of the cell. So we can say cells are limited in size by ratio between their outer surface area and their volume. This means that cell keeps the same shape as it grows. Volume will increase more rapidly than the surface area. And at some point, surface area becomes too small to allow nutrients, oxygen and other materials to enter quickly to meet the cell needs. Okay, so this is how the cell metabolism takes place, and this is indeed responsible for the different size and shape of the cell. So with this we conclude today's lecture. If we summarize quickly what we have studied today, so we have understood what is the cell, different definitions of the cell we have seen. Simply we can call it as a structural and functional unit of the life. Then we have understood the discoveries in the field of cell biology for history. Robert Hooke, who was the first to observe the cell in the cork cell. Then many discoveries happened, like Anton von Leeuwenhoek, who was the first to observe living cell under the microscope, which was developed by him. Then the cell theory given by Sladen, Schwann and Virchow, which tells us that all living things are composed of cells. Then we have seen the history, different events which happen in the cell biology, scope of the cell biology. Cytology was the older name. Nowadays we call it as cell biology because we also study morphology, biochemistry, physiology and other things. Then we understood that stem cell give rise to different type of cell according to their function in the body. We have seen different type of cell, like in plants, guard cell, xylem cell, pollens. In animal cells also there are different types. We have also seen that not all cells are alike because cells have different functions, so accordingly their shape and structure will be different. We have seen some example with pictures. And then finally we studied the different shapes and sizes of the cell. So variable shaped cells or the fixed shaped cells. Fixed shaped cell also there are different types we have studied and their examples. Sizes also vary. So we have smallest cell like bacteria and largest cell like giraffe nerve cell. And there are different factors like the nucleocytoplasmic ratio, cell ratio between cell surface to cell volume and rate of metabolism, which decide the size and shape of the cell. So with this we conclude today's lecture. Thank you.